Hello, welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2016. I'm your host, Daniel O'Dwyer, delighted to be joined by Mr. Daniel
Orihuela.
Orihuela. It's like Daniel O's.
It's good names.
Joined across the world. Also, Peter Brown is here.
I'm in the middle.
Yes, you were here. We're delighted to have you here, Peter. Delighted to have you here, Daniel. We've also got a live demo of the new Legend of Zelda game, which has a title as well.
Yes, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was finally announced today. We've been trying to keep that under wraps for a while, and it's great. It really does talk about what the game is like, where this huge world you get to explore, and it had its own sense of being, and it's really just fun to kind of wander around and see what you can discover.
It's been wonderful seeing the demo on obviously your Nintendo Direct stage. Streaming this morning, I woke up and watched a bunch of it. It's been fascinating to see how open you were being with this. You're showing off a lot of this game.
Yes, we're showing off a lot of the game, and it's just one area. And Mr. Arnoux even talked about this before, that it essentially only represents this demo like less than 2% of the full game. If Sarah wants to put up, she can actually bring up the map for a second, just to give you an idea of scale.
Sick iPod.
Yeah.
You seen it uses NFC?
Yeah. So there's the whole thing over there. So that's just one little section of the map you get to explore, and it's huge. So there'll be a lot of stuff there for people to discover when they have their chance. But what Sarah's doing right now, actually, we're starting in this little camping area at the beginning. She collected some items, but she's actually doing some cooking. So before Link goes on his adventure, he's going to get prepared to survive as best as possible. So you collect certain items like meats, vegetables, insects, and monster parts, and you can mix them together to make different things. There are no hearts in the game anymore. Like, you could cut grass and get hearts.
Right, yes.
That's gone.
Okay. Yeah.
You now have to worry about foraging constantly, and then you can eat them raw to give you some health back, but you can cook them together to create more different things instead. Like this right here, this hearty meat and mushroom skewer, it gives you full recovery, but also gives you an extra heart, the bonus heart. That's yellow, which doesn't mean it can be refilled, but it gives you that extra health until you get hit and lose it.
You talk about removing the hearts, and for me that is removing a layer of abstraction from the experience that Link is going through. But at the same time, there is so much charm to the way in which he's, I hate to say it, killing an innocent animal, but he's gathering a steak from it, right? And then when it cooks, all the food is bouncing around, and he's eating it, he's shoving it in his mouth. Like,
he's all happy.
I think it's just really wonderful how you maintain the spirit of Zelda games while also fundamentally changing the traditional elements of it.
Yes, and that's something that they're really trying to go for this title, is make it feel something completely different than you've ever seen before. Even like if you shoot a bird, it turns into like a nice little piece of meat, or shoot a squirrel, turns into an acorn. Right. So it's still a little fun aspects behind what's going on in the game.
So are you doing a lot of that cooking to prepare for battle or to use during battle? Because I get like a weird...
Because you only can get it before or after. So right now here, she's going into this bokoblin encampment. And if you see, the boar actually is running around distracting the guy on the bokoblin.
Oh, yeah.
And Sarah's down here fighting this other bokoblin. Oh, she was fighting with her torch, which probably isn't the best weapon to use. So she's actually dodging around. And you can jump in the game now as well, which is a nice change. The thing you have to be careful of, too, is that your weapons, as you use them, and the shield, they'll take damage. Their durability matters, so you have to constantly be looking for new weapons, and it really encourages you to keep grabbing different things.
One thing I'm really curious about when it comes to durability, because I got some time to play the game on Sunday, and you get this feeling that these items are very disposable.
Yep.
In the past, you'd get an item and you're like, this is very important to me, and that would almost define who Link was, right? So I understand the Master Sword is back in the game. I saw a little glimpse of it over the weekend.
We don't know what that is exactly yet, but you can make that assumption yourself if you want to.
So the sword that I saw seems to be an object that has some amount of permanence to it. But for the most part, is all of your equipment, is it disposable in the sense that it might not be permanent? Or do you find items that really do stick with you the entire journey?
For what we're showing so far is they are kind of disposable for right now. But the game's still being in the works, and we're only showing a small sample right now, so you have to stay tuned to see what we share later on.
Fair enough.
For that.
And how do you add in all these mechanics and still keep this, an accessible game? Because the Zelda games have always been ones that, like, folks who don't play big, crazy open-world RPGs could pick up and play.
Yeah, it's just that's something Nintendo does. Anu has been great with that. Just Nintendo as a whole, they're always making sure that if you want to make the game really complicated, do some really crazy moves, you can do that. If you don't, you can just enjoy the experience of going through the game and the story as it is. So it's trying to make that charm for everybody, and they're doing a really good job of that. But the control-wise, yeah, it guides you through pretty basically when you first start the game. She's shield surfing.
That's excellent.
That's a more complicated move to do as well. But Sarah's practice, and as you get through the game, it gives you it all to you in bite-sized chunks. So it never tries to throw you the whole thing at one time. So it's a nice way to simply gather and learn as you go through it.
And what other types of sort of side activities are there? They're cooking, things like fishing and the hunting,
swimming, stuff like that. Just discovering. So those are the main activities you're going through that we've shown so far. And here Sarah's trying to take on this giant rock monster called the Steptalis that appeared. This just randomly appears as you're wandering around, so you have to figure out what's going on. She actually right there used one of what's new to the game is the runes. So instead of actually having a bomb item, she had these magical runes basically that you can earn by completing the Shrines of Trials. There's over 100 of them, and here, she got thrown off. So here she's trying to find a way to defeat this character, which actually has a lot of energy, and right now she probably does not have enough to do it. So she might come back later with a more powerful weapon, because you saw that weak point on its head was what she's able to get to. But she was able to use a remote bomb to get it to fall over to climb on its back.
Is there going to be an element of that, like you see in other, open world role-playing games, where you're wandering into areas which are clearly higher than your abilities, or are you gating these? Are they like sort of enclosed open areas that you're moving to level?
No, I mean from what we've experienced so far, it's very reminiscent of the original Zelda game, where from the NES, where you could just explore and you can go there. You might go, whoops, maybe I shouldn't be here right now, or you don't have the right rune or right weapon or item to get past something. So you might have to mark it and come back to it later. That's really just that freedom you have to go through this open air adventure, and choose how you want to explore everything.
What are the ramifications if you do go into an area that's too strong and you end up, dying? Like, how does this game? Is it pretty accommodating for that kind of experimentation and risk-taking?
Yeah, it is pretty accommodating. I mean, you saw from the demo that we showed on Sunday, Nate actually, he died.
Oh, that's right.
He died,
right,
and then what makes it even funnier, it leaves an X on the map showing where you last died. So we made fun of him for that one too. But yeah, no, it's basically accessible. You come right back. And that's what we're showing so far in the demo right now. So.
What does the edge of the map look like? Because that's huge, and I'm sure it's going to take a long time for people to make it all the way there. But is it?
You can look over everything. And actually, while we're going through it right now, Sarah will eventually get over there. Right now, she's just trying to take out this Bokoblin encampment and show a really cool move right here. I'll show you so they're all goofing around. She's just throwing a remote bomb over there.
If there are 100 of these shrines,
yes.
Is it safe to assume that some of them will offer maybe upgrades to existing abilities that you've earned, or are there that many?
The Shrines of Trials, the ones at least in the demo so far, each of them do give you a different rune to earn. Right now we already have 2 of them here, which is why good dodge there, Sarah.
Nice.
Is the remote bomb, which is one of the runes, and the other one she has is the magnesis, which is you can actually grab items that have magnetic properties and move them around. The other 2 shrines do other things as well, but the shrines will all be different. Some are small, some will be big, some will be. And right now we've only shown these 4 that basically show how to get those runes.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go into later on when we learn more about what the other shrines have to offer.
One thing I've noticed is missing are rupees. Is there currency in this game?
So far, we haven't shown anything about the currency yet. The game's still being worked on, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see what that. Because I know, I'm sure anyone talk about too, is that the world is a living, breathing world. You will get to meet other characters, and that'll probably lead into more of that discovery later on. So it's still being worked on, so hopefully we'll see what comes out of that.
A lot of questions coming out of chat. I want to remind people if they are watching on GameSpot.com or on Twitch, I'm keeping an eye on both chats. One of the questions that's come in is about the sort of how populated the world is. What we're looking at here, there seems to be a lot of sort of empty space between these encampments. Is that what you're kind of looking at? You're spending a lot of time on your own, or is the world, does it get more populated? Is there bigger townships and things like that?
That we haven't shown yet, and that's what we're hoping to. I know that's a question a lot of us are asking, and the game's being worked on. There will be stuff to discover beyond this, and that's the whole point, that you don't know what's going on. It's this gorgeous world that has stuff going on, but it's all in a ruined state, and you don't know what's going on. And that's what the player gets to have the joy of discovering, is finding out what that is, and how you get to discover that is going to be different, because you can choose whatever path you want to get there.
The fire stuff, I mean, I love Far Cry 2. So when I saw Link here setting fire to a bunch of grass and using it tactically,
right here she is.
Pretty awesome. Oh my goodness, that is one tactical use of fire, blowing his goddamn self up.
So actually, what she's doing there's actually some Bokoblins in the back, and what's happening now, she's trying to burn the fire, and you can actually get the fire to burn all the way and take them out by burning them.
Oh right, okay.
But this one, the fire didn't quite burn there. She might take them out by hand. Oh, or she could just still relight her torch.
She's determined to burn those dudes alive.
Oh,
almost. What other uses are there for the fire in the game?
Cooking purposes as well. So a lot of times when you get to the cooking areas, you can find a cooking pan to use. You have to light the fire underneath it. You can also just find an open fire and use that as well. Oh, Sarah's, nice job. So she's taking out these guys, and now she's going to discover. Oh, the sword she has is now currently badly damaged. So what she could try to do is throw. She might take it out first. She could try to throw the sword. Which actually can throw your weapons. Oh.
So can you speak a little bit about the amiibo support? I know Nintendo kind of used some information earlier, but I'd love to hear a bit more.
So right now, the only thing we've shown so far for the amiibo support for this game is the Wolf Link amiibo, which if you do scan the Wolf Link amiibo in, Wolf Link will actually join by your side and be a partner for you to actually go fighting and foraging for different and hunting for different things. And what's cool is that if you've played Twilight Princess HD, and you've built up that Wolf Link from the extra content in the game, the hearts you've earned will carry over into this game. So your Wolf Link will actually have that many hearts in the game. What's cool though is if that Wolf Link amiibo dies while you're playing, you can't rescan him back in until the next day.
Gotcha.
The real day, like a real physical 24 hours.
Right. Okay. So is the Wolf Link sold by itself, or can you only purchase it with Twilight Princess?
Right now, you can only buy it with Twilight Princess HD.
Is that the plan for the future as well?
We have nothing to say right now. We'll see. Hopefully, what comes up in the future. But right now, the Wolf Link amiibo is something you buy with Twilight Princess HD, which makes sense. So you can actually play up the game, and then play up the game and get that extra ability.
Yeah, right. Because he carries over the stats.
The stats carry the hearts. The heart stats carries over into this game as well.
Daniel, just to clarify, some of the people in the chat were a little bit confused because obviously we have a female game demoer off camera right now.
Yes.
Link though is a male character.
Yes.
So there's no option to pick a
no, right now Link is a male character right now in the game. That is how it's being prepared. That's how the story works so far. But yes, our friend Sarah on the side there, she is playing the game for us right now. And she has she actually has the fire rod already, and she's kind of been using it a little bit. But what's cool here she's about to do is the interaction with the environment. Now, we came from the lower side, but had she come up from this side from another direction, she could have just pushed these boulders down and killed the bokoblins that way. So that's something that's also really fun about these Zelda games, is that there's always a sense of puzzle. Even though the shrines have different puzzles, but even defeating enemies, there's always a puzzle mechanic behind, like what's the best way to defeat an enemy or approach a different situation.
Peter was talking a lot about the durability earlier on. I mean, crafting is something that is almost ubiquitous across multiple genres, especially role-playing games at this stage. Is there also an element of that in the new Zelda? Will you be like finding recipes and making things and like trying things out?
The cooking is actually a really good part where you have a chance to do that, so if you mix meats and vegetables, you can make something together, and then if you take monster parts, which you get from defeating enemies, and insects, you can create elixirs.
Right.
Elixirs can give you different bonuses, like the ability to run faster, have longer stamina, cold resistance, things along those lines here. And now, actually, right there to the right is Mount Helia, and you notice right now Link is getting cold. You can see in the bottom right corner there's that gauge blinking. It's gotten so cold now that Link is literally shivering. So you have two options at this point. One, you could put on this better tunic.
You could take it all off as well, right?
You could take off the equipment as well, and he'd be freezing. He would be freezing that much more. So yeah, that's what she's doing there. But what we're doing here now with Link is using another rune called Magnesis, which is the ability to move objects that have metal properties.
Wow.
And now Link right here is building a bridge to use to get across.
So presumably this will be a large part of the puzzle solving in the temples and whatnot.
Yeah, in the shrines you're going through. The shrines you're going through, you'll be using that as well. And you actually earned this ability by going into one of the Shrines of Trials. And that's where you first experiment. You basically walk in, you scan your Sheikah Slate, which is what stores those rune powers, and then you can start accessing those runes to use that.
Just to confirm something I heard yesterday, this will be playable with the Pro Controller, correct?
Correct. Mr. Onuma did say that the game will be compatible with the Pro Controller as well. So that's something I know people will be excited about as well.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch more questions, but we're running short on time. So, Peter, I want to sort of throw it to you because you did play this game for about 40 minutes, and you've played way many more Zelda games than me. Do you have any more questions for Daniel, sort of about what we've seen here?
I mean, there's so many things to talk about. It's really difficult to know. I mean, I suppose what is the balance that's being struck here between delivering a classic Zelda experience like the original one on the NES versus trying to modernize the series? I'm curious about your perspective on that. As someone who actually has played, you said about 20 hours.
This specific demo I played for about 20 hours myself.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the balance works out. I mean, and it's different for everybody. Like, I've played Zelda games in the past, but I know a lot of people have never played a Zelda game.
Right.
And this is a great opportunity to jump in for the very first time. So it just depends on each person, and everyone has different gameplay experiences and memory. Like, for me, it's nostalgia. My memories, I remember playing many different Zelda games that they've come up through the years, and just seeing how it's evolved and different stories. how Link goes through all these different adventures, and it's just a really fun way to play through them all.
Is there any sort of multiplayer component at all?
As of now, we haven't announced anything in that regard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even know how to begin to imagine how that would work. But this is such an ambitious game that I have to at least consider the possibility that if you're going to go one step and then two steps, you might go the third as well.
I'll have to wait and see what's going on. I hope we'll see what more information comes out as we go down down the path.
You folks are showing off a lot very early, so presumably there's a lot more to show.
That's what we're hoping for, yes.
I like it. Daniel Orihuela, thank you so much for coming on and showing us The Legend of Zelda Breath of Fire.
The Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
I know we were using a lot of fire as we were playing through the game.
I know, right? Burning everything up. Was that a bad movie, Breath of Fire?
Nope, that's an old RPG series.
Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah. Mixing them up. Thank you so much for coming on and showing
Thank you.
When will it be out and on what platforms?
So we have announced the game. So the game comes out sometime in 2017, and it'll be released simultaneously on both the Wii U and the NX. Beyond that, we haven't given any kind of time frame beyond next year.
When will we hear more about the NX, Daniel?
The NX.
Tell us. We're all friends here.
Nothing else to share right now on that one, besides that it's coming out next year.
Okay, good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You can check out more of The Legend of Zelda Breath of
the Wild.
There you go. Peter Brown.
Thank you, Peter.
Resident Zelda expert. You can catch more of that on Nintendo's stream that's running across the rest of the week as well. Make sure you stick around here, though. We have got Todd Howard on to talk about Skyrim and a lot more. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
You're watching the GameSpot stage, brought to you by Airheads.